This is Katie.
And this is Derrick.
Welcome to the break room.
We're back in the break room. Y'all know who's in the building. Katie K.
This is Katie Kinder.
If I was a DJ, that would be
That was good. I really liked it.
I appreciate it. Listen, this is something that I hear you say all the time, and you have a heart for. I think if I could pull the cavity of your chest open, it would bleed, and out would come the words, baby teachers. What is with you and these baby teachers?
Because I love them. So I really, that is my passion, and that is exactly what my heart would bleed out, because almost 60% now in the first 5 years, we're losing them.
60%?
Yeah.
Is that an Oklahoma statistic or is that national?
That's nationwide post-pandemic.
Wow.
Because pre-pandemic, it was 44, which is a lot.
Yeah.
And now it's 60%.
A lot of stuff changed after the pandemic.
A lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, teaching changed after the pandemic. Like, we got a lot of things they're dealing with post-pandemic.
Yeah.
But the baby teachers, I want them to stay. We need them. Our kids need them. Our kids deserve them to stay. And really, when I started, I was just kind of thrown in sink or swim. And I did have a mentor teacher who was wonderful, but I want to be there for them. I want to hold them while they cry and tell them it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I love the baby teachers, the new teachers, first 5 years.
So when you think about your first 5 years in teaching, what got you to year 6?
Well, I think after year 1, after 4 weeks in, I was like, I quit. I just didn't know what I didn't know. Like, I am alternatively certified.
Okay.
And a lot of our teachers are coming to us alternatively certified or emergency certification teachers, that they didn't go through a program. And even the ones that go through, like, the pedagogy and college, they walk in and they're like, but a kid threw a desk at me and I don't know how to deal with that.
Right. And
so I just sat there and I taught the way that I had been taught, which was in straight rows and read out of the book and answer the questions, that's not innovative, that's boring. And when your lessons are not relevant, that's when you start to see that class clown, or you start to see the issues. And so I'm big into creating relevant content for kids because they deserve that. And so I think the other teachers around me got me through. Yeah. My mama is a rock star teacher, so she helped get me through. But I did a lot of, like, research on my own. Like, I would go find the teacher of the year, or somebody I heard was amazing. I would sit and, like, be a study of them. Yeah. And then I'd be on YouTube trying to find different things. I found Ron Clark and Dave Burgess, and so I was hungry for it.
Now, can you teach that? Like, that hunger, that ambition, that self-drive, or do they have to want to be there?
I mean, they do definitely have to want to be there. Yes. It is. You can teach it. I think you can teach it because you get overwhelmed and there's all these meetings and data and PLC and RTI and blah, blah, blah. We are always with the acronyms in education. And you can really easily burn out. And I always say, like, to baby teachers that you need to pick 3 hills to die on, and those 3 hills need to be doing what is relentlessly best for kids. And so what does that mean? That's not dying on grades or data I mean, I think it's being nice to each other, engaging and relevant lesson plans, and then number 1 is safety. Like, if your kids aren't safe, they're not going to learn. Yeah. So those are the only 3 I'm going to die on.
Yeah. Talk to us a little bit more about safety. If I'm a baby teacher and I come in regards to my training or my certification, I understand grades and testing and all those different things. But we know there are a few things that precede testing and grades. It actually makes testing and grades and teaching a lot easier. And I believe safety is one of those things.
Yes.
Talk to us about the levels or the kinds of safety.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, they have to be safe, like, inside your classroom from another child or from,
like, physical
safety.
Yeah.
Then they have to feel emotionally safe. And that, so I really kind of create a family classroom in which everybody belongs, everybody is safe. And that takes a lot of work. Yeah. That, no cap. to say what the kids
That was
say.
nice.
I just
It's
wanted
in your book.
I just wanted to sneak that in. So I start with procedure stuff. Like even your 14, 15, 16, 17-year-old kids, they need procedures.
Yeah.
How do you sharpen a pencil? How do you, what do you do when this happens? So I spend a lot of time teaching, reteaching procedures that were safe. And I'm very direct with them. I have to make sure you're safe and everybody in the learning environment is safe.
Yeah.
And it's just like something I say, and then I start saying, I love you too much for you to do that. And by October, they're like, if I have them step outside of my classroom because they have broken a procedure about 3 times, I will step out there and they will say, we know you love us too much for this. I'm like, that's right.
Yeah.
And then they come back in.
And I think safety is important.
Yeah.
When you're talking about levels of safety being physical, emotional, mental, academic safety, being able to make a mistake and learn and be wrong and then be corrected.
Right.
All that stuff comes with relationship and trust and all that cool stuff.
Yeah.
So when you think about going back to the way teachers are taught these things, I said, and this could be my mistake, teachers, we're in the break room. Come on, give me some grace. I talked about, can you teach that? I said that to teachers in the academic setting. And you're like, I think you can. And I was like, well, that's not what I meant. I meant like.
Is it innate?
Yes, that's what I meant.
Yes and no.
Okay.
I mean, I think we all have to find our own creativity and what works. Like, I'm never going to walk into the classroom and look and act and be Derrick.
Yeah.
And you're never going to walk into a classroom and be Katie. Like,
Ever.
So I think it's like using what works for you,
right,
and creating your own creativity around what a family classroom looks like for you.
Ooh, that's good. And the reason that's good, and I want to expound on this a little bit more, is because you said early on you had a rock star mom that was a teacher, you had veteran teachers that gave you advice. And I think as a young teacher, being new to the profession, it would be very easy and tempting to model after someone else.
Sure.
And not even spending the time to discover what my approach or what fits naturally to me. So my question to you is, how can I discover, how can I unearth, how can I excavate
I like it.
what makes me me, and then creating a classroom environment that is unique and comfortable to me? Because I feel like as a teacher, I also have to feel safe.
Sure.
In order to make others feel safe.
100%. And we also we play a part. We have to put on our teacher armor, no matter what's happening, no matter, if we've got a kid homesick and your husband had to stay home or your wife, and you have to walk in with a certain amount of teacher armor.
Yeah.
And that's just part of the job. But I think it's trying and failing and trying again and failing again. What breaks my heart is when I see a teacher, 20-year veteran, who's just given up.
Yeah.
And they sit at their desk and the kids are not safe.
Yeah.
And they don't care. And that is heartbreaking to me. Right. I want to be like, hey, go work at Starbucks because...
Be a greeter at Walmart.
Be a greeter at Walmart because it probably make more money in Oklahoma.
I laughed, but tears.
It's true. But, our job is too important. It is too life-changing. And I think as a teacher, you have to buy into that. You have to know that the kids need you and they need you every day.
Yeah. So, Katie, you're dropping gems. You're dropping
Derrick,
bars.
Thank you.
And every time
bars.
You are. Every time I want to go forward, I have to go back because you said teacher armor.
Yeah.
Right. And we've been talking about being vulnerable, but now we're talking about armor. So, what part does vulnerability and armor play in creating a safe environment?
Sure. I mean, it's almost like parenting, right? Like, I'm not going to sit down with my 10-year-old son and tell him things that he's not developmentally mature enough to handle, right? So it's kind of like that in your classroom as well. Like, you are the person in charge. You're the one that has the safety. I mean, that's why we carry so much on our backs as educators. Yeah. But you let them in a little bit. You are vulnerable, but you also can't let a 12-year-old hurt your feelings.
Ooh-wee. You can't do it.
You can't.
Or if you do it, you can't show it.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I can bleed underneath my armor.
Yeah, yes. And I just have to, if somebody's I don't garner self-worth from a 12-year-old, right? So if somebody's like, I hate this class, I hate you, you know, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I've been really looking for a 12-year-old to tell me about my life. Thank you. And that comes, I think, with time and experience. And but I tell my baby teachers, like, you can't just try to come in and be their buddy or their friend. Like, you are the authority.
Yeah.
So.
But I was going to say that just as first 2 years, 3 years, you said 4 weeks. I'm coming in with all of this ambition. And I'm going to change the world, and I'm going to tell a kid to do something, they're going to do it, no pushback. And I'm going to partner with parents, and I'm going to love you, and you're going to love me, and we're both going to love your kid. And then week 1 happens, and it's like, oh. And I think the whole point of like the break room and bringing in, opening a door, pulling up a chair for our new teachers is like, yo, I know you got the rose-colored glasses on, but it's about to get real. And I don't want you to go away. So I want you to feel safe and create this environment. I want your students to feel safe. I want you to be vulnerable, but also protective. And this is something that I don't know that a lot of people are getting or talking about early on.
Sure. That is true. So as an instructional coach, I was an instructional coach the last few years.
Tell us what that is real quick.
So that is teaching teachers.
Okay.
And what I learned as an instructional coach, and I see, is that the teachers weren't going to buy in unless they knew that I could teach. So I left my school that I was in for a decade and went to a new school to be the instructional coach.
Right.
And, you know, I begged for a model classroom. And they said yes. So I got 2 model classrooms. And it was awesome. Because the teachers could come in and watch me, and then I could go with them the rest of the day and teach their classes for them. And so they could see me in front of my students, and then they could see me in front of their students. And I think that's how you learn. Yeah. So I think you have to be really honest. I think teachers, especially new teachers, feel like they're alone on their island. Yeah. And, you know, schools are like small towns. So, you think the new girl's going to last, or, that kind of thing. And you can feel that depending on your building. And so I think that teachers go inward instead of being like, I need help. And I think that's something that needs to change. It's not like that in every building. Right. But I definitely saw that when I was an instructional coach, that they didn't want to ask for help because they didn't know who to trust. Okay.
Yeah, we getting all the tea in the break room today.
We really are.
Are you telling me teachers talk about other teachers? Is that a thing, Katie? Oh no. Is that a thing?
Sometimes our teachers revert back into being 14 if they're teaching 14-year-olds.
They've been around them so much, they just absorb the personalities.
Girl. I will. No.
So, I mean, you dropped another bar that I got to go back to. You talked about essentially self-awareness, right? Like asking for help, like knowing where you're deficient and where your shortcomings are and where your inadequacies are as a teacher. How much time do teachers get a chance to reflect on their experience?
Not a lot. I think they work so hard and then they leave exhausted and they try again the next day. And in the reflection, I mean, especially if you're a mom or you're a dad, you're in the car. Your time for reflection is in the car on the way home, thinking about your kids who want to eat dinner. And it's hard. I think you can if you pick the right professional development and you pick the right people to really like I'm big on social media, and as far as a teacher, like you can make connections all over the world. You can slide into my DMs right now and say, Katie, I've seen your content and I'm a baby teacher and I need help. Yeah. I will drop everything for that baby teacher. Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily have to be inside of your school. And it's hard.
That's good. Yeah. That's good. Like when you are trying to find people to lean on and to pull from, that identifying people can be difficult. Yeah. Asking for help can be difficult. Identifying areas where you're not the greatest can be difficult. Yeah. Trying not to derive your self-worth from a 12-year-old can be difficult, right? And as you're juggling all these things as a baby teacher, as a new teacher, and you go home and you got to be mom, you got to be dad, you got to be spouse. Don't be involved at church or any social group or try to have friends or throw a load of laundry in the car or cook dinner or like all those things on top of trying to be a good professional. I think it can be difficult. So when we think about our new teachers and they need resources, They need, because I know you, when you travel and you do your workshops and you do your open enrollments and you do your keynotes, I know a lot of energy that you pour. People only get that when they come there. Right. There are so many people. I'm sure you've had people come and they say, this was great, I feel refreshed. And then they go back to their environments and maybe they don't have that available. As a new teacher, how do I reach out and connect, and how do I identify what I need?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, to all of the above. It depends on your school building.
Okay.
Do you have an instructional coach?
So one, do you have an instructional coach?
Do you have an instructional coach? Sorry, I had to move around.
Gotta get comfortable.
Yeah. Do you have an instructional coach? Do you have a mentor teacher?
Number two, do you have a mentor teacher?
Mentor teacher. Can you approach those two people? Do you have principals who support you?
Principals.
Do you have resources in social media that you can go to? I mean, there's like a whole Facebook group about just middle school English that I've gotten a ton of stuff from.
Yeah.
And so I think it's just like going outside of yourself and making sure. I think schools have a heart for that, and sometimes it gets lost.
Yeah.
So always to my baby teachers, I say, you could be in a building that's not serving you.
Yeah.
And guess what? You can go somewhere else and they will roll out that red carpet. And you should.
Yeah. Instructional coaches, mentors, principals. You said social media, like little focus groups. You even mentioned YouTube. You said books. All these really cool things. I think that sometimes our teachers, they burn out because they feel like they don't have support or don't have help. And even if going out and researching these things are not innate, they are there, they are available. There are so many opportunities for you to not be alone, to be in relationship, to connect with other people that have not only been where you are, but they've come through and they've stayed.
Yes.
So if I am a baby teacher, and let's just say I submitted an anonymous question to you, and this anonymous question said, hey, Katie, I'm in my first year as an emergency cert. What's an emergency cert?
That is somebody who has a college degree.
Yep.
They've never been through any training.
Okay.
They haven't gone through the State Department and gotten their alt cert. That's the test you have to take.
Right.
And you can get an emergency certification to teach for, I believe it's 3 years to teach and get your tests and pass and get your license.
So I can be emergency certified to get in, but during that 3 years, I have to do all those things.
Yes.
Okay. I am a new teacher. My first year, emergency cert. This is my second career. I was a bank teller for years, and I thought I could come teach. So I had the same schedule as my kids, but I'm struggling to keep up with everything. And I'm too embarrassed to ask for help. Katie, help me.
Yes. Oh, I've had a lot of baby teachers that happen to be in their 40s and 50s because it is their second career. And I once had a guy who was probably 6'4" and maybe 300 and something pounds. Yeah. And he would come to my new teacher meetings and I'd be like, my baby teachers. And he was like, please don't call me that. And I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna.
Wait, what did he say?
He said, please don't call me that. I'm like, you want to hug it out?
Yeah.
So yeah, I see that a lot. Like, I'm a bank teller. I think I can come and teach middle school math. And guess what? It's not that easy.
Right.
And if you are just doing it because you want your kid's schedule, I don't know if that's the right reason.
Yeah.
But if you love the kids and you just need help managing your class, like, I will come. I will come there and I will help. I think, again, procedures in place, really walk the school, get a feel for the building. Is it the right place for you? Yeah. Is it not? All of that can be factors in your decision for the next year.
Yeah, I think that's good. What I heard is you need to do it for more than having the same schedule as your kids.
Yep.
Yeah. And you got to figure out what that reason is and then fortify that reason. If it means walking around the building, get a sense for culture, meeting people. And again, Katie just gave us 6 ways to connect and reinforce and fortify and make it not only to the next week, but the next month, and the next semester, and the next year, and the next. Find your tribe. Like, you got to have folks that are instructional, that are mentors. You got to have a principal that supports. She said in our previous episode, if it comes from the head down, it's a lot easier to implement.
Yep.
You got social media focus groups. You got YouTube. You got books. You have all these things. And I think for the people who don't take advantage of all those resources, those are the ones that fade.
Sure. Well, and I think it's finding time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you look at your plan time, you get one plan time, and maybe it gets taken from you a couple times a week because we don't have subs.
Right.
And so when you do get this precious plan time, you want to plan and you want to grade.
Right.
Well, I think that you should go and watch a rock star. Maybe even 10 minutes. 10 minutes at the beginning of class or 10 minutes in how they, close out their class.
Right.
That's what you should do.
Yeah.
And then you can go back and grade. And are you going to take things home? Of course.
Yeah.
But that's the nature.
That's good. All right, baby teachers, I'm sorry. Break time is over. The bell just rang. We can't stay in the break room forever, but you got Katie K here. Feel free to reach out, ask her more questions. If we didn't answer it here, you can answer it there. She says, slide into my DMs.
Hey, boo.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us in the break room.
I missed it.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us in the break room.